Hi, Rick Davis here. Today we're going to talk about writing well, and about many of the components that go into making you a good, effective writer. I have a real treat for you today. I have an interview I did with a very accomplished professional writer who's going to share some of the finer details of her craft. So sit back and enjoy. Joining us today is Katharina Gerlach, an author from Germany, northern Germany. Kat, welcome to our show and to our interview. It's so nice of you to spend some of your time and share some of your writing knowledge with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, I hope you don't mind, just to let our viewers know, I have known Katharina for a while, and I consider her a friend, so I probably will have the cat sneak out once in a while rather than Katharina, and I know you're okay with that, as You've told me before.
Yep.
So, Kat, you have got quite a body of work behind you in your writing, and you and I have talked about this before, but I've never thought that writers are born writers. When did you first begin to actually think of yourself as a writer?
I think that was quite late, actually. I was in my 30s already, but I've always been a writer. I just didn't call myself that. I think that most people who are writers and those who become authors have always been writers in their life. They have written diaries or plays or whatever they like. They just never considered this to be a job. It was something they loved to do. And if you've got that feeling that you love to write, then you're a writer.
And it just is you. It's part of your makeup, your being.
Yeah.
Well, when you started your writing, what type of writing did you do? What genre would you have considered it?
Well, I would have called it fairy tales, but it wasn't. It was some sort of fan fiction. There is an author in Germany called Karl May, and he wrote stories about Indians in America, and they are very, very popular over here. And I started writing fan fiction for those stories because I liked them so very much. That was in first grade, and the stories were one page in size, and the letters were about an inch high, so it wasn't very much. But I still got those stories. They are really, really funny.
That's wonderful. Well, you just wanted to ensure that audiences, young and old, could read your handwriting then.
I'm not going to publish them. They're just for me.
So, did you write for yourself then, or were you always sort of thinking of an audience when you wrote?
Both, I think. I never thought about an audience, but I always had an audience. I was quite good at telling stories as well. And I've got a very big family with lots of cousins, and they all came around. Can't you tell us a story? Can't you write us a story? And so I was always in high demand for my stories. So I think I actually trained how to tell stories without being aware of it.
Now, you write in a few different genres that your readers can see on your website, and I will certainly put the links down below so that they can follow some of your writing. But you call yourself a fantasy, science fiction, and historical novel writer for all ages. Now, as you've progressed and evolved throughout your career, has that changed and evolved with how you were feeling, or is that body of work sort of all come from within you naturally?
The thing is, I'm very much interested in nearly everything. You could call me a jack of all trades if you want. And that's also reflected in what I write. I started with a historical novel, accidentally actually, because a friend of mine found an archive on her, is it archive or archive? I'm not sure, found it in her attic, and when she told me about it, we found so many interesting things in the papers in there. They went back to the 1400s, and I was so amazed that I just decided to write a novel about it, and that was the first one I ever published.
And what was the title of that one?
That's An Angel's Freedom.
Okay.
And it's about a family buying their freedom from serfdom, and it was very, very interesting to research. And then I decided, well, I always loved fantasy, and then I started writing fantasy stories. And the publishers in Germany always found the stories very, very good, but not, they don't fit into a specific category. They always overlap with other categories, and they had problems of sorting them out, so they never dared to take them on. And now I'm doing the fantasy things on my own.
Now, to give our listeners an idea, how long did that first novel take you to write, from the time you started research to the time you felt you had completed it?
5 years.
Wow. That is intense.
Yeah, well, I had to do the research, which was very difficult because it's at a time where you don't find many things about everyday life. You find tons of things about the happenings. It was during the Napoleonic Wars. You find lots and lots on Napoleonic Wars, but you don't find where they went to the toilet, what they had for dinner and stuff like that. That took ages to find out. And the other thing was, I had to learn the technical side of writing. No matter how much talent you've got, there are some rules that you have to follow if you want to write a novel that other people will enjoy. So I had to learn that as well. And I was taking my PhD at the same time. So it just didn't go as fast as I would have liked to.
A very busy individual. Impressive. Obviously, as time has gone on and your craft has gotten better and better, you must probably, I assume, put out a body of work or a novel much quicker now.
Yes.
What's the quickest you've written a novel from start to finish?
A month, but only the first draft, and that's only half the work because the real novel emerges when I start rewriting. Because when I'm writing the first draft, I do not think about the plot lines or the characters. I just write. That's my muse coming out, and I write and I write and I write. And once that's all written down on virtual paper, like on screen, then I go back and see, is everything logical? Are there plot holes? Are some characters too shallow? Stuff like that. And that's the revision, where I make the novel into I bring it into a publishable format, and then I publish it. Oh.
I understand. So when you are writing, it sounds like you just work as quickly as you can to get your thoughts out on paper, rather than be very concerned about the structure or the real details. As you say, you go and do that on your rewrites.
Yes. Perfect Titus can kill a novel.
Yeah, understandable. How do you, so to get into sort of the way you write, how have you managed to get yourself into that mode of just letting it flow and letting the story just get out on paper, if you will?
When I started using this method, I had a big sign over my monitor, and that said, crap happens. And so I allowed myself to write crap. And when I went back during revision, I found that half the stuff I thought it was crap at the time of writing wasn't as bad as I thought. So you have to let go of the idea that you can create the perfect novel or the perfect story right from the start. That's never going to happen. Even after revision, you will always find things that you could change if you had the time for it.
In the second part of this interview with Katharina Gerlach, you'll learn the absolute best writing tip I have ever heard of to help you become a productive writer. Make sure you join us for part 2.